You might have come across this news recently that dream tech companies like Google and Apple have gotten rid of their degree requirements. According to a recent study in Harvard University, more than 60% of the colleges in the United States will go bankrupt in another 10 years or so. So, what does this fact actually mean to you and I as students? My name is Mohammad Hashir, a CS graduate myself, and I thought this would make an interesting topic of discussions for today's video. When we see the internet's viewpoint of what a future would look like in the job market, we often see references to automation or the proliferation of artificial intelligence more than anything else. Starting from the early 1700s, with the advent of the industrial age, we saw machines replacing hard and manual labor. Thus, subjects or courses at schools were designed to train students to be disciplined to these managers in these industries and be equipped with the skills to understand and make use of these machines. Now, with the advent and advancement of the information age, starting from the early 2000s, things that were never possible before happened. One obvious example that every one of us have witnessed is the spread of the internet. Skills like, for example, being good with spellings, doing mathematical calculations, didn't matter in the job market anymore because companies could now rely and invest on more inexpensive commodities. And yes, I'm talking about computers here instead of hiring a human who is more expensive plus is prone to making more errors. Computers in the initial days were not so reliable to get work done because they were more difficult to use for an average consumer. But today, technology has matured so much that companies can rely on them to get actual work done, even with manual labor and providing employmental opportunities for the society. The market demands and trends are changing every single day, and it doesn't wait or care about any specific individual. So whether you believe that we're living in the most antisocial time or not, you will have to accept the reality or the market is going to consume you. That said, if the institution or the system that you're buying into is not giving you the skills you need to meet the tomorrow's demands, I think that you shouldn't really wholly rely on the system and or keep this your top priority for the future, whether you eventually decide to enroll into one of these institutions or not. Before I move on, I'd like to emphasize on the fact that there is no such thing as the right answer or the right track. So please bear in mind that in this video, I'm only going to reason with my point of view. Yes, I do have a CS degree myself, but honestly, it's only the mindset to think about problems and problem solving in certain ways that is helping me today. Yes, you can take the same classes at home on demand instead of subscribing to a huge lot of courses that you know you're not going to make use of in the future. Sometimes schools make you learn things that you never know were important because just like many other businesses, the way educational institutions sell you these many courses is that they presume that you don't really know what you want to learn or what you should be learning. If you're mature enough to know what classes to take and what skills to adopt to do exactly what you want to do in the future, you should feel absolutely free to do anything you want to do anywhere. If you want to learn to develop apps for iOS, for instance, you would probably try to go to Google and try to look with the exact keywords and try to learn the languages required first, and then eventually find out that learning the whole language wasn't actually required or necessary because a totally different set of APIs were used in the tool that you intended to use in the first place. I see this question often being tossed on me. How many programming languages do you know? And I think my answer shouldn't really matter to me or even to you. I mean, yes, I have learned to code in dozens of different languages, but remember, learning to program is just not about learning syntax of every language out there. For some people like me, I needed to know what variables mean, how loops work, how conditional statements work, for instance, and therefore I think data structures was an essential lesson to me. But to some people, this comes naturally, and I think of algorithms as and I think some people can think of algorithms as they begin to code. There is a noticeable difference between an expert and a rookie because although I have an understanding of different data structures and algorithms, I don't really know how to put them to use in the most efficient manner because I have learned with experience that I'm a designer first and then a programmer. I'm a maker, so I do not rely too much on conventions. I am also an entrepreneur on the other side, so I try to take a look at the bigger picture and just try to make things work because I'm not in the job or job market as yet. I feel that schools are a great place to figure out what you want to do in life, especially and if only if you have the capability to support your studies. Otherwise, it could be really expensive and unnecessary. I have never been the most smart person in my life, be it in academics or otherwise, and therefore I needed some experiences, not knowledge, to gain a certain perspective and mindset to look at things around me in a certain way. If my expectations were more than anything than this, boy, I would have been in deep regrets. My suggestions may or may not work with you, but my only advice for you would be to be honest with yourself, experience and experiment with everything you love, and take a step into where you feel is the right direction, not what you think the market expects you. Because remember, market by itself has no expectations out of anybody. You can turn passion into a trend, a habit, or a business, but not the other way around. Try to minimize your regrets as much as you can, and that is especially when you're young and when you can actually do.